This story is a work of fictional dramatization inspired by real-life emotional events. It is intended for mature audiences only, as it contains themes of infidelity, family betrayal, emotional trauma, and complex relationships. The characters, places, and incidents are entirely fictional, and any resemblance to real people, living or dead, is purely coincidental. This story aims to entertain, provoke reflection, and explore the depths of human emotion, not to glorify or promote any inappropriate behavior. Viewer discretion is advised. The morning light filtered softly through the white kitchen blinds as I stood at the stove, flipping pancakes. The sweet scent of syrup and melted butter filled the air, and for a fleeting moment, everything felt comfortingly ordinary. It was a quiet Saturday, the kind I'd hoped would mend the subtle distance that had grown between my son Jake and me. He was home from college for the weekend. 19 now, perceptive, quietly intense, and carrying a maturity that sometimes made me uneasy, as if he could sense the shadows I kept hidden. "Jake, breakfast is almost ready," I called out, but the house remained silent. Assuming he was still sleeping, I decided to steal a quick shower before the food cooled. Our finicky water heater wouldn't wait. I locked the bathroom door, stepped under the steaming water, and tried to quiet the restless thoughts that had plagued my sleep lately. Jake's presence always stirred something buried deep, memories I'd long ago sealed away. Midway through rinsing shampoo from my hair, his voice drifted faintly down the hall. "Mom, can you come here?" The breaker tripped again. I muttered a curse. That basement panel was forever troublesome. Without a second thought, I wrapped a towel tightly around myself and hurried out. It was only Jake, after all. But the floor was slick from steam. As I stepped into the hallway, the towel loosened and slipped to the floor. Time froze. Jake stood there, mere feet away, his gaze locking onto mine. It wasn't mere embarrassment or shock in his eyes. It was something profound, a dawning recognition that chilled me to the core. A mix of confusion, hurt, and unsettling clarity. I gasped, yanking the towel back up with shaking hands. "Jake, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were right there." He said nothing, just stared for a long, unbearable moment before turning and walking away without a word. My knees weakened as I retreated to the bathroom, locking the door and sliding down against it, heart hammering. It wasn't the exposure of my body that terrified me. It was the way he'd looked at me, as if, in that vulnerable instant, he'd glimpsed the fractures in the facade I'd maintained for years. Jake never came down for breakfast. I sat alone at the table, staring at his empty plate as the pancakes grew cold. Hours later, when he finally emerged, he avoided my eyes, grabbed a water bottle, and muttered, "I'm heading out." The door closed behind him with a finality that echoed through the empty kitchen. The same space where I'd once cradled him as a baby, now feeling vast and hollow. A childhood memory surfaced unbidden. Little Jake, 5 years old, asking if he looked like his dad. I'd smiled and said he had his father's smile. It was true. Of the man whose photo he'd never seen, not Greg, the husband who'd stepped in later to build the life I pretended was whole. That night, Jake returned late. I heard him rummaging in his room before knocking softly on his door. "Jake," his voice came low and steady through the wood. "Were you ever going to tell me the truth?" My breath caught. "What truth?" "Don't play dumb, Mom. I found the box. The attic box, letters, photos, relics of a life before Greg, before the careful reinvention. I'd thought it buried forever." He opened the door, eyes hardened. "Who's Richard?" The name hit like a physical blow. "Just someone from long ago," I whispered. "You lied to me my whole life, didn't you?" I couldn't deny it. He already knew too much. He shook his head and closed the door, leaving me in the hallway, the past I'd fled clawing its way back. That night, alone in my room, the ceiling fan's hum offered no comfort. Richard wasn't a fleeting romance. He was the one who'd ignited something wild and alive in me. Charming, dangerous, utterly consuming. But he belonged to my sister, Rachel, engaged and planning a future. Our stolen moments escalated to one irreversible night of passion and guilt. Then the pregnancy. I never told him, too terrified of shattering lives, including my own. I vanished for months, returned with a fabricated story, and later married Greg, who lovingly raised Jake as his son, offering the stability I craved. But secrets fester. Days blurred into tense silence. Jake holed up in his room, researching. Then one morning, a DNA test kit sat boldly on the kitchen counter, unopened yet accusatory. He wanted irrefutable proof. That evening, he met my gaze for the first time in days. I sent it in. Soon, I'll know everything. And you won't be able to lie anymore. 3 weeks later, his stunned shout summoned me upstairs. The laptop screen confirmed it. Richard was his biological father. Greg was not. You let him raise me my whole life, Jake whispered, voice breaking. A man who wasn't even my father. And you never told me. I thought I was protecting you. No, he said. You were protecting yourself. Then the devastating revelation. I called Richard. He's 3 hours away. We're meeting. The room spun. Jake was seeking the man I'd erased. Greg sensed the unraveling too. One night, backs turned in bed, he asked, "What are you hiding, Linda?" Does it have to do with Jake? With Richard? He'd known, seen the letters years ago, chosen silence and love anyway. But now the foundation cracked. He slept on the couch. Jake left the next morning. Do you know the difference between a mistake and a choice, Mom? You made a choice. 3 agonizing days later, an envelope arrived, Richard's handwriting. Linda. Jake met me. He looks just like me. I knew instantly. You should have told me, not for me, but for him. He's hurt, but he's strong. He's mine now, and I'll be there if he wants. I forgive you, but I don't forget. Richard. A text from Jake followed, staying at Richard's a few days. We're figuring things out. Don't call. I'll let you know. 5 days later, Jake returned briefly. Older, wearier. We talked. He didn't know I existed. He would have fought to be in my life. Did you believe him? Yeah. He was honest about everything, including your mistakes. He paused at the stairs. Did you ever love Greg? Or was he just convenient? Yes, I loved him. I still do. But I was wrong to think love could bury the truth. You were wrong, Jake admitted. But thank you for saying it. I don't know where we go from here, he added softly. Things are different now. I know. And I never stopped loving you. He nodded faintly and left me standing there, broken but unburdened by lies. In the bathroom mirror, I confronted the woman I'd hidden, aged by secrets, cracked by consequences. That slipped towel hadn't just exposed skin. It had torn open a soul stitched shut for 20 years. The house remained a shell of staged memories. Greg distant, Jake divided between worlds. Yet in the ruins, a fragile honesty lingered. Love persisted, quiet and complicated, amid the wreckage of truth finally laid bare. No more hiding. Just the raw woman in the mirror, learning to live with the storm she'd summoned.